Hello, and it's good to have you join us again on Maritime Radar. The core objective behind the establishment of the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry is to help Nigeria harness its economic opportunities in her oceans, move away from oil dependence and create jobs, especially with the recent extension of the country's continental shelf. Nigerian maritime assets have long remained a source of intrigue, offering a treasure trove opportunity for economic growth, strategic development, and international trade. As Nigeria seeks to diversify its economy and leverage its natural resources, harnessing its maritime assets has emerged as a pivotal agenda for the ministry. Assessing the economic opportunities in Nigeria's fisheries sector are some of the issues that will be on the front burner on today's show. I'm Norma Obiaswalo. Nigeria stands to gain so much by embracing opportunities in the blue economy as it offers an avenue for economic diversification away from the over-reliance on crude oil. The fisheries and aquaculture sector holds immense potential for Nigeria's economic development. With a coastline stretching over 853 kilometers, Nigeria possesses abundant fishery resources. However, due to limited infrastructure, outdated fishing techniques, and inadequate regulatory frameworks, Nigeria's fishery sector remains largely underdeveloped. Therefore, investing in modern fishing technologies, improving infrastructure, and implementing effective regulations, Nigeria can significantly increase its fish production, both for domestic consumption and export. This would not only boost the economy but enhance food security and alleviate poverty in coastal communities. The blue economy brings with it opportunities in maritime transport, as over 80% of global trade is moved by sea. Renewable energy is another opportunity the blue economy offers, as Nigeria's vast water resources provide an ideal environment for the development of hydroelectric power and other forms of renewable energy. Coastal tourism also provides a huge opportunity, as Nigeria's beautiful coastlines, diverse marine ecosystem is an attractive destination for both domestic and international tourists. Investing in marine research and education geared towards a better understanding of how to manage ocean resources, clear and effective regulations and governance structures to manage ocean resources and prevent illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing activities, and of course, collaboration with international communities to promote regional cooperation in managing shared ocean resources. All this will set the pace for maritime development in Nigeria and the African continent at large. Before we get further into today's lineup on the program, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
The 8th Symposium of the Heads of Navies and Coast Guards in the Gulf of Guinea has concluded in Abuja with a renewed commitment to strengthen maritime security and sustainable development in the region. The event, organized by the Nigerian Navy in collaboration with the European Union and the French Navy, brought together about 200 participants, including senior naval officials, regional institutions, and international partners. The two-day conference focused on key issues affecting the region's maritime domain, including piracy, illicit trafficking, and resource exploitation. Discussions revolved around three strategic areas: regional and international cooperation, maritime domain awareness and information sharing, and legal and regulatory frameworks. The symposium placed significant emphasis on the operationalization of the Yaoundé Code of Conduct, a framework designed to enhance maritime security and governance in the Gulf of Guinea. The symposium culminated in the adoption of a final communiqué containing 14 resolutions aimed at bolstering maritime security governance, enhancing information sharing, and improving regional cooperation under the Yaoundé Code of Conduct. The next edition of the Gulf of Guinea Symposium will take place in Dakar, Senegal, in November 2025, as regional stakeholders continue to build on the progress achieved in Abuja. The President General of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, Adewale Adeyanju, has applauded the federal government's 2006 port concession exercise, describing it as a transformative initiative that has significantly enhanced services at the nation's seaports and improved the welfare of dock workers. Speaking during the 2024 Dock Workers' Day celebration, Adeyanju highlighted the benefits of the concession, including improved port security, enhanced lighting of terminals, and better working conditions for dock workers. Vicky Hastrop, chairman of the Seaport Terminal Operators Association of Nigeria, noted that dock workers are the unsung heroes of Nigeria's maritime sector, and the federal government's port concession program had been a game changer, resulting in safer working conditions, improved remuneration, and enhanced productivity. Hastrop mentioned that a new collective bargaining agreement has been signed and is set to be implemented by terminal operators, ensuring fair treatment, the payment of living wages, and retirement benefits for dock workers. The managing director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, Dr. Abubakar Dansoho, represented by the General Manager of Operations, Charles Okaga, commended dock workers for their contribution to the maritime sector, calling on other government agencies to support capacity building initiatives for dock workers to improve terminal operations.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Radar with a coastline that stretches 853 kilometers and covers an exclusive economic zone of 315,950 and a continental shelf from 200 to 220 nautical miles. Harnessing the blue economy could be a game changer for Nigeria's transformation into a leader in sustainable marine activities and generating about $1.5 trillion annually. The fisheries industry in Nigeria is characterized by its diversity, contributing significantly to the country's food security, employment, and foreign exchange earnings. The sector is also a source of livelihoods for millions, particularly those in coastal and riverine communities, and serves as a vital source of protein for Nigerians. A critical look at this sector raises some questions. How can Nigeria position itself to harness the opportunities in fishery, improve its study and production to be able to meet its local demand and export for foreign earnings, moving away from fish importation? Our guest, Dr. Elegbede Isa Olalekan, is an expert in ocean and coastal resources sustainability, advisory member, Ocean Enterprise Initiative, Marine Technology Society, Washington, D.C., United States of America, and a lecturer in Fisheries Department, Lagos State University, Nigeria. Helps us make a sense of these issues. Don't go away. Okay, Dr. Elegbede, it's good to have you join us on Maritime Radar. So let's start this conversation with a look at the economic potential of Nigeria's ocean resources. What do you see?
Yeah, so thanks so much, Anelma. Nigeria, as a country, is well endowed with a lot of resources, especially with the blue resources. Having known that the country the fishery sector of the country contributes about 3.5% of the national GDP. So it shows that there are so many opportunities and so many things to bring up in the country. And with this factor, Nigeria still imports fish, especially the frozen fish, worth about $600 million, so which is about 0.933% of the total importation. So with all this, having known that the country has a lot of potentials to meet the demand and to reduce fish importation, though there are still some challenges that we still face, which includes infrastructure, inadequate infrastructure, issues surrounding IUU, overfishing and the rest, and even the limited adoption of aquaculture that is affecting them. The aquaculture sector is facing several challenges, which requires a lot of intervention by all stakeholders, including the government.
Okay, you've enumerated challenges in the fishing sector. So how then do we begin to harness the opportunities that you see?
Now, so like I said, the country has a lot of opportunities, a lot of resources. having known that our coastline has about more than 800 or about more than 850 kilometers of coastline that we have. So there are so many opportunities, so many ways by which we can harness our sector. So one of them includes improving our fisheries capacity build and education. Our education, our fisheries education level needs to be overhauled. There's need to bring up innovative learning system and research upgrading. Looking at, for example, the issue of the climate. Recently, we just came from COP 2029, and you see a lot of topics around climate and how climate is connected to the ocean, to water resources, and even to fisheries. So areas like climate resilient fish production should be incorporated, and several research should be brought on board, like this IMTA, the integrated multi-trophic aquaculture, which is innovative that can be applied to aquaculture. Apart from this, we need to establish a lot of funding and resources for our Fisheries Research Institute that will focus on sustainable practices and having varieties of fish breeds. And this connects to our how are we funding our research institute, like we have the NEOMA, we have various institutions, various universities, and a lot of institutions springing up. So we need funding. Now, my call is always that we should not limit everything to the government. We need third intervention to all these things. So with this, we could be able to develop our fisheries very well. Apart from this, we need to also bring the youth on board. We can harness this to bring able youths that can be able to be involved in the fisheries through giving them support like grants, trainings, and even several mentorship programs. And another way we need to harness these opportunities surrounds around leveraging on our mangrove, our blue carbon, to see how we can restore and awaken the factors surrounding our mangrove resources, so that we can have sustainable climate resilience and sustainable fisheries.
Okay, you've mentioned quite a lot of ways we could harness this sector. But so let us have an understanding of what fishery is and what aquaculture is. Can you talk to us? What is the difference and what is the similarities? Before we, take one by one the ways you've said we could harness this sector.
Now, thank you. So fisheries is an art. It's an art of producing aquatic resources. So aquatic resources could be fin fish, it could be shellfish, it could be other living resources that could be used for food. Now, the fishery sector is categorized into various parts depending on the way you want to categorize them. It could be categorized into subsectors like the industrial fisheries, the small scale inland fisheries, and also we can also bring aquaculture on board. So two of them are wide capture, while the other one is controlled production. So we can produce fish, we can get our fish through culturing them in an enclosed, controlled environment like the aquaculture, and we can also get our fish by capturing those fish from the wild. So the wild can be through the offshore. You can have offshore. You can have the marine fishes or industrial fisheries. You can also have the inland fisheries. So fishes can also be categorized based on the water system. We can categorize. We can have marine fisheries. We can also have brackish fisheries, and we can have what's it called? The freshwater or inland fisheries. So fisheries is broad, and fisheries connect two main parts: the fish stock and the humans, because the humans are the one capturing those fish to enhance their livelihood, their economic pursuit, and to better their circumstances. So the fish stocks are there as the living resources that we need to manage effectively so that people that are taking those fish can sustainably get them in a continuous term, and generations to come can always explore them and get the benefit they're expected to have in with those resources.
Okay, we are due for a break now. So when we return, we'll be looking at the practicality on how we can improve on fish production, looking at the dietary elements of it. Please stay with us.
Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here at News Central TV, with stories that put Africa first.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Radio, and I still have with me Dr. Elegbede Isa Olalekan. Before we went to that break, you had said so many ways we could harness the fishery sector. So let's go into practicality. So looking at the dietary elements of fishery. So let's see how we can improve the study of production. So how can we improve the study of production now?
Yes, thank you so much. In the context of dietary or nutrition, you should first know that fish has a lot of protein, and those protein has a lot of benefits to the body. Now, the nutrition part, for example, nutrition accounts for about 50 to 70% of operational cost of the cost in fish farming or aquaculture. So a good feed that is well formulated will improve the fish growth, reproductive health, and even disease resistance. So this will help to optimize feeding practice and also increase yield. Now, the practical strategies that we can use to improve fish production include, recently we did a research to look at how we can have alternative protein, because we realize that the cost of fish feed is increasing in the country. So we try to do some experiments to bring up various aquatic plants, including sargassum, algae, and various aquatic water lily and some other aquatic plants, and comparing them with fish meal. So we realize that we can explore locally available ingredients, plant produce that have high protein content. Their protein content might not be as high as fish meal, but we can have a composite meal. So we can replace all the expensive feed with locally available raw materials, like the soybean meal, which is also high. It has high protein content for fish growth. We have the cassava peel and the yam waste. They have high carbohydrate sources for fish diet. So you can use the groundnut cake and the palm kernel cake, which are cost effective, and they can give us the groundnut cake can give us protein supplement, while the palm kernel cake can also give us a lot of energy rich value. So, and apart from this, we can, for fish production, we can also improve the feed formulation to see how we can develop feeds that are tailored to species that we farm. For example, we farm a lot of Clarias garipinos and tilapia. So we need to look at the high protein diet and see how we can adopt locally produced floating feeds so that we will be able to reduce feed waste. Then we need to also implement management system and enhance training and capacity building, then particularly bringing collaboration with research institutes and other stakeholders.
Okay, and another thing you mentioned another way you mentioned that we could harness this sector is by infrastructure, and regulatory framework. So how do we go about improved infrastructure, looking at our outdated fishing techniques and all that? So how do we improve on that to ensure that this sector can be driven?
Yes, I want to say that firstly, we need to talk to our regulators, that is the government institution. So they need to do more in the area of policy implementation. We have policies, but we need to implement. I think Nigeria is one of the countries with a lot of policies, but implementation is the key. So we need to see how our government can work with other stakeholders to enforce regulations against issues like, for example, the high UU, like we've talked about, then supporting this infrastructure through various funds. Now, funds does not mean that it should be from the government alone. We can have collaborate. You remember when the government initiated the Sukuk bond, where people invested and people are getting people can get their gains and profit over time. So this is something we can also do to bring all. Nigeria is rich, and we have people that are rich in the country. So we should have a sustainable and a convincing business plan that stakeholders and businessmen should invest in. At the end of the day, we can upgrade our infrastructures and we can have profit at the end of the day. And apart from that, I mentioned earlier, one of the key ways to upgrade to promote our infrastructure is through partnership. Now, we talk about SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. Now, SDG 14, which is life below water, which connects particularly on fisheries, cannot work alone without working with other sectors, particularly SDG 17 that talks about partnership. When partnership cannot be attained, we cannot reach anywhere. Partnership with local stakeholders, local partners, partnership collaboration with regional and international organizations for a win-win situation.
This well said. If you can, in 30 seconds, because we really have to go. So what do you think the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy should do to be able to bring all this together and harness, to be able to drive the fishery sector?
Yes, for the marine and fishery sector, we'll want them to upgrade the system in terms of developing and enforcing policies around licensing framework, around IUU, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. And I also want them to investment with bonds, with support from both local and international organizations in our infrastructures. Infrastructure in the blue economy is not limited to only hatchery or only ports. No, port is mainly for transportation, for maritime transport. But we need to invest in infrastructures, the blue infrastructure, other infrastructures such as hatcheries, processing plants, coastal aquaculture zones, and security. Because one of the issues World Fish, in conjunction with Lagos University, headed by Professor Akintola in Lagos, they are working on a project called IMTA. One of the issues we realized in one of our stakeholders meeting is around security. So there is need to provide security for our coastal aquaculture producers. People have a lot of technologies they want to go beyond the terrestrial domain. They want to explore, produce food in the coastal area on water. So we need security and support from the government, which individuals cannot do it alone. And apart from that, grants, then zero interest loans is one of the key things that we need to explore for our fish farmers and processors. Then supporting research and development, bringing indigenous research science and Western research science together to promote diversification in the blue economy sector, in both aquaculture and the capture fishery sector, like breeding programs, climate resilient aquaculture, and net zero production. And
Thank you.
like I said, 17 public-private partnerships, bringing IU 17 to play to foster collaboration between government and other
Thank
people.
Thank you. Time is not always our friend when we are doing this. It's been Dr. Elegbede Olalekan. He's a lecturer in Department of Fishery, Lagos State University, and also advisory member, Ocean Enterprise Initiative, Marine Technology Society, United States of America. I must thank you most kindly for your time and your thoughts on the program. I also believe that the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy is listening to all you've said, and we hope to see something done about this sector. Thank you very much once again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that's our show this week. With this robust conversation with Dr. Isa, stakeholders wait on the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry blueprint on tapping the immense potential of the fishery and aquaculture sector. Join us every week on Maritime Radio as we explore potential that will ensure the development of the maritime sector in Africa. You can also expect the latest in global and local maritime news, plus industry insights right here. I'm Norma Obiaswalo. Many thanks for your time, and see you again next week.